Buddy is a character who receives very little attention in the Bluey series, and maybe that's a huge mistake. Have you ever noticed that Bingo's friend might actually be suffering a lot? Abandoned. Unfortunately, he might be a little puppy who was abandoned by his parents. You don't know what we're talking about? It's actually very simple to explain. In the episode Daddy Drop-Off, we see that in front of Bingo's school, the teacher, Calypso, is welcoming all of her students, and all of them are standing next to their parents. Well, everyone except Buddy. In the opening scene, we notice that the little puppy is arriving at school completely alone, and you know that this is extremely dangerous. Buddy is a very young puppy, only 4 years old, and if he really went to school alone, then it means his parents made a huge mistake. And it doesn't matter how safe the neighborhood might be, letting children walk alone on the street is a very big risk. And all of this neglect toward Buddy also appears in several moments throughout the series, and hopefully you'll start caring a little more about this character because his life is not easy at all. And for you who made it this far, we have a special invitation. Click the join button down below and become part of our exclusive group of subscribers. We have 3 plans for you to choose from. You can become a Wave Fund member and use our badges on your profile and special emojis in the channel's video comments. Or you can become a Wave Plus member and get early access to our videos and priority replies in the comments. But if you want access to our exclusive members-only videos and polls, you can become a Wave Max member. Starting at $2.99, you can become the newest member of Cinewave. Click now and get even closer to us. Nose. Anyone who looks at Buddy might think he's a very badly behaved puppy, because in several moments he has his finger in his nose, and in the episode The Creek from season 1, we see him do something really disgusting. He wipes his booger on the playground slide in the city park, the same place where his friends play, and everyone knows how gross that is. Nobody wants to touch someone else's boogers. Always having his finger in his nose and picking boogers is definitely bad behavior from Buddy, although there are other reasons too. But the main reason is because this poor little puppy doesn't get much attention from his parents. As we already explained, he was left to go to school alone. Do you think after that his mom cares whether he's a clean and well-behaved dog? Of course not, and that's really sad, don't you agree? And we're not even talking about Buddy's biggest suffering yet. But if you really want to know and don't want to miss anything about the story of Bingo's friend, stick to this video like a booger on your finger. Breathing. In the episode Bob Bilby, when Bingo is taking the school mascot home, Buddy appears behind Bandit like a very strange little puppy who almost never says anything. But the detail that few people noticed is that Bingo's friend has his mouth open, breathing through his mouth. And this is a very important detail about the character, because Buddy is a puppy from the pug breed. Do you know what that means? Unfortunately, Buddy cannot breathe properly. Pugs in the real world are little dogs that have very flat snouts, which is why they struggle to breathe, and some of them can only stay with their mouths open. Buddy always seems tired, and the reason is exactly this. The puppy breathes poorly, and that is very dangerous for him, which is why getting plenty of attention from his parents is so important. Do you see now why that theory about him being abandoned to go to school alone is so bad? Poor Buddy. Hopefully he's doing okay. What do you think about that? Yogurt. And there's another thing about Buddy that is actually funny, but also a little concerning, not to mention gross. In the episode about Bingo's birthday, all of the little red healer's friends are there, including Buddy. And in the story of that episode, everyone is doing something different. Rusty is playing with Mackenzie, Indy is building pieces with Chloe, and Buddy is stealing yogurt. Wait, what? While everyone else is having fun, Buddy comes up with a brilliant plan. He notices that Chili is using a container of yogurt to fill some snacks, something the little puppy loves. So he finds a little stool, climbs up to the kitchen counter, and sticks his hand inside the yogurt container. Then he runs away, licks his hand, and repeats this several times until Chili finally puts the dessert in the refrigerator. First, let's talk about how this is actually really gross. Putting a handful of saliva inside a container of yogurt definitely ruined the food, and Chili should throw the whole thing away. Second, Buddy shouldn't steal food from someone else's house, especially when he's at a party where there's plenty of food he can take freely. And if he really wanted yogurt, it would have been better to use a spoon, right? The funniest part is that he truly believed nobody could see him climbing onto the stool to grab that food in secret. Poor Buddy, everyone was watching you. But at least we can't say he isn't a funny little puppy. The problem is that this might be another sad detail. Buddy probably wouldn't do this if he received attention from his parents, and his friends don't show this kind of behavior, do they? Maybe he feels lonely and needs this to get attention. What do you think? Do you like sneaking sweets from the dessert table at your friends' parties? Comment #sweet so we can see what you do. Sleep. Remember the episode about the creek when Bandit takes his daughters and Mackenzie to explore the nature around the playground? Buddy also appears in that story. He's on the slide trying to play, but Bandit is sitting there blocking the puppy from having fun. That's the scene where he stuck the booger on the toy, but something else happened too. Buddy fell asleep there, and look how interesting that detail is about the character. Buddy is only a 4-year-old puppy, and just like the other kids, he needs to sleep twice a day. We discover this in the episode where Muffin Healer goes to spend the night at Bluey and Bingo's house, but Uncle Stripe hadn't put her down for her afternoon nap. Buddy falling asleep on that slide is proof that he hadn't taken his special afternoon nap. Every child needs that. If he was that sleepy, then he should have been at home, don't you agree? And this is yet another detail showing how Buddy needs more attention from his parents. Teeth. Now we need to talk about another detail about Buddy's suffering that is actually a huge problem for this little puppy, even more than you might imagine. Dogs of the pug breed have the same number of teeth as dogs with long snouts, but as we already explained, the pug has a flat snout, and that is a major health problem. Having 42 teeth when you are a border collie like Mackenzie or a blue heeler like our protagonist isn't a problem at all, but in the case of pugs, it causes a lot of pain. Buddy has crooked and painful teeth, and we don't even need to see inside his mouth to be sure about that. There simply isn't enough space inside a pug's mouth for 42 teeth to be properly aligned in a healthy way. Buddy suffers from crooked teeth that overlap each other. That must hurt a lot, and it might also explain why his tongue sticks out so often. Just imagine how many times Buddy has to go to the dentist to deal with that pain. That is really very sad. Shyness. Do you remember that episode Markets from season 1? Buddy also appears in one scene, and we can see a pretty sad detail about his personality. As if all the health problems he already has weren't enough, our favorite little pug puppy is also very scared and shy. In the scene, he appears putting a $5 bill in the guitar case of Busker, the city's musician dog. But Buddy is so afraid that he approaches very slowly, and when Busker thanks him, the little puppy lets out a scream and runs away. This scene shows just how incredibly shy Buddy really is. A puppy who is afraid to approach others and even make friends. Could this cause problems for him later in life? Photo. In the episode where we learn a little more about Bingo's friendship with Lila, there is a scene with Buddy that explains a bit about his shyness. When we see the class photo from Miss Retriever's school, Buddy is the only one who is not looking at the camera. There is a reason for that. Buddy is not a puppy who likes receiving attention. He doesn't like taking photos, and he also doesn't like hearing his name said through a microphone, like what happened with Busker at the neighborhood market. This detail could affect the puppy's life in the future. Being shy is not really a bad thing. It isn't, but being afraid and embarrassed about everything is definitely a big problem. How is he supposed to win Bingo's love like that? Don't know what we're talking about? We'll explain. Subscribing to the channel is just as good as watching your favorite animations. Shall we click? Bingo. Still in the neighborhood market episode, we see that Buddy's shyness disappears when he is close to Bluey's younger sister. At the end of the episode, when Busker is singing for everyone to dance, the little pug decides to join Bingo and starts doing a dance move that became very famous on the internet. And why does that have anything to do with romance? It's actually very simple to notice. Buddy probably likes Bingo, and yes, we know the two of them are very young for that, but you can clearly see that the pug's shyness disappears when he is near Bingo. One example is in the episode itself when the two of them dance. It almost feels like Buddy is not the same little puppy who ran away scared from the singer. And another moment happens in the Bob Bilby episode, when Buddy appears near Bingo and Dad Healer without saying anything. Nobody called him there. It was just a conversation between father and daughter, but Buddy stayed nearby and remained quiet in front of Bandit, probably because he likes being close to Bingo. Some fans have already talked about the two of them being together in the future, but would that actually work? Tongue. An interesting detail about Buddy is that he likes lizards. Did you know that? And what does that have to do with the challenges he faces? Everything! In the episode Curry Quest, we see Mackenzie's mom painting a lizard on the puppy's face, but the tongue that looks like it belongs to the painted lizard is actually Buddy's tongue. That was a clever disguise for the puppy's tongue, which was sticking out simply because there isn't much space inside his mouth. Love. But anyone who thinks Buddy isn't loved by his friends and family would be mistaken. The episode Pass the Parcel shows how much the other characters like him. We saw many birthdays that day, including the special day of Buddy's 5th birthday, and he has a party where all of his friends come to celebrate. His mom organized a beach party in an area that has a water park, and when it was time to pass the parcel, who did Buddy sit next to? Bingo, of course, but that's just a small detail. The truth is that that this little puppy really does face many challenges, but he is not alone. He has friends, just like we have you. If you like this video, there are 2 more ready on the screen. Just click and keep watching with us. Thanks, and see you soon.